Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Chazingdra Chats, the show where we take a stroll through the life stories of people in the Pokémon community, discovering the 6 Pokémon on their dream team along the way. I'm Charlie Merriman, merry by name, merry by nature, a host and commentator for the Pokémon Video Game Championship Series, and a content creator. And this week, as every week, I very much hope my guest and I can make your day merry, because I have the pleasure of being joined by Sunnie, otherwise known as Cathy. Cathy, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you on. We met very briefly at EUIC this year. I think we were standing outside. It was sort of like, some of the players were gathering to celebrate the concluding event. And I think I'd seen you on broadcast like last year at one of the regionals you attended and they interviewed you.
Yeah.
And then, was pleased to be able to meet you. And now I'm very pleased to be able to feature you on the show. And for anyone who's not so familiar with you, Cathy or Sunnie, can you give a brief introduction to yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Sunnie, or Cathy. A lot of people know me by my actual name. I'm a Twitch streamer. I do, in general, Pokemon content creation. I've done a little bit of VGC myself. I've done some speedrunning, which has been really cool. And I primarily do shiny hunting. So I look for different colored Pokemon, which is a lot of fun.
And they're surprisingly enticing, let me tell you. Yeah, shiny Pokemon, exceptionally rare variants of Pokemon species that, are often alternately coloured. And just the rarity of them makes them so highly prized. It's something I enjoy doing myself. Had plenty of shiny hunters on the show. And so I'm very pleased that you'll be joining their ranks, Cathy. Shall we do this? Shall we take a deeper dive into your life stories?
Sure.
Great. Let's get things going then. What we're going to start with here is, very appropriately, you were growing up surrounded by Pokemon.
Yeah. So a question that I always get all the time is people will ask, when did you get into Pokemon? And my answer is always when I was born. Like literally the second I was born into a family of Pokemon fans. I have 2 older sisters, so they had grown up with Pokemon already. So I grew up, I had a Game Boy Color, I had, all the different devices. I had Nintendo 64, GameCube, and I was just kind of thrown into it. I had an obsession with the original Pokemon Snap. I still have the music play in my head sometimes, and the Professor Oak voice acting, welcome back. It's the best thing ever. I loved that game. I would spend hours trying to get just the best pictures of Mew. I don't know if you've played the OG Snap.
I haven't played Pokemon Snap at all, but I tell you what, the updated one they did for the Switch looks beautiful.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Pokemon Snap is the absolute best. There is a level in the OG where you are in this space world and Mew is appearing in a bubble, and you have to throw these almost stun balls at the bubble and break it. And then Mew will come out of the bubble and appear, and you're able to get these crazy cool pictures of it. And I always loved it. It's just one of those memories that sits with me of just spending hours and hours getting Mew, or throwing Charmeleon into a lava pool and evolving it into Charizard, or chasing Magikarp down a river and then hitting it into a waterfall and it evolves into Gyarados. It was just such a cool game, and I genuinely just fell in love with it. And eventually for my, I want to say 5th birthday, I was very young, my mom got me a Pokemon plushie, my first personal Pokemon plushie, and that was just it for me. That was the start. And that Pokemon is now my favorite Pokemon as well. So
is now your favorite Pokemon as well? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this Pokemon by any chance going to be the first one joining your dream team?
Perhaps.
Well, we'll leave the viewers on tenterhooks just for a moment before we get into that, because I never realised that in Pokemon Snap, that's how you evolve your Pokemon. It's not so much leveling up. It's meeting certain requirements in the game.
Yeah. So Pokemon Snap, you don't actually develop a team. It's really just taking the pictures, and the, goal of the game is to get the highest score possible on your photos. So you want to get these really cool pictures, and there's little hidden type of tasks that you can do. So the Magikarp will spawn really early in the river biome that you can go through. And if you hit it with either the gas balls or there's also apples, it will bounce down the river. And then you can hit it into a waterfall and it'll evolve into Gyarados. And that's how you get a picture of Gyarados. And I believe there's also like a Pokedex. You get a picture of every single Pokemon. It's just the first 151, the Kanto Pokedex.
Yeah.
But they have a ton of things like that.
Wow, incredible. Okay, so how many sisters do you have?
I have 2 older sisters.
2 older sisters, okay. And they... So you sort of inherited that Pokemon craze. They were already into it, and then it sort of fed down through to you.
Yeah, we had a bunch of different consoles. Growing up, we had, like I said, a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. We had the little, like, flip Game Boy SP, a Nintendo 64, and a GameCube. And those were kind of all of our shared consoles. And then we had a lot of the original games, too. So we had, like, Blue, Yellow, Gold, and Silver, a couple of the Gen 3 games, like Emerald and Ruby. And we shared all of them. So we would just, like, replay Yellow 15 times over. And we'd always have to be like, I would walk into my sister's and be like, can I restart your Yellow file? You finished it the other day, just so I could play through it. So it was fun. I mean, I'm sure we learned a lesson about sharing from that. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You teach me and I'll teach you for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's time now to illuminate everyone as to this Pokemon you've teased. Now, as a reminder, everybody, the aim with Cathy's Dream Team is not to build the most competitively viable team in any way. It's just the Pokemon that have been the most special to Cathy over the years, and she can define that for herself in whichever way she wants. I have no idea what they are. She's decided on these in advance. So tell us, Cathy, what's going to be Pokemon number 1?
Yeah, I'm going to warn you now. If anyone is hoping this team is competitive, I wish you the best of luck on ladder, because it's not going to work out.
Maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll give it a go. We'll see.
Well, my first Pokemon is Eevee.
Nice.
So like I said, my favorite Pokemon and the one I got a plushie of when I was 5. I wanted to start off with this one because this was just like my day one favorite Pokemon, has stayed that way forever. I have so much Eevee merch. It's like almost a bit concerning. I have like a bunch of plushies. I have the little seasonal figurines that they came out with. I need to get the fall and winter one, but I have the summer and spring one on my desk behind me, which is why I keep looking. But I absolutely love it. And I just think that, like, throughout the years, obviously Eevee has gotten more and more attention, which, good, she deserves it. But I think at first, like, I just thought it was cute. But as I've gotten older, I think they've really, like, pushed this message of Eevee being like, be whatever you want to be, embrace yourself for who you are, and like adapting to your environment. And I think it's just like amazing and wonderful what they've kind of turned Eevee into, almost as like a symbol. And also, I named my cat Eevee. I had 2 names. It's like I had one name for a boy, and then for a girl, I was like, if I get a girl cat, I don't care what she looks like. Her name is Eevee. I just have to. So it's like I have my own personal Pokemon roaming around my house.
Yeah, wonderful. I was going to say, kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it, to have one of your favourite Pokemon, or your favourite Pokemon, be one that has so much merchandise, because that's great, you can celebrate your love for it, but yeah, I'm sure that your wallet isn't thanking yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you too much.
The beginning of this year was probably the most bittersweet because, you know, you get the email, it's the year of Eevee! Of course it is. Yep. Yay! Like, yay! Oh my gosh, yay! But also, oh, no! And they're releasing all of this merch.
Now, as long as this isn't going to be a spoiler for later, can you reveal what your favourite Eevee evolution is?
This is not a spoiler for later. I actually did not include it. My favorite evolution is Sylveon. I was actually very, like, tuned in to the online Pokemon community. This is not, like, part of my story times, but also kind of a separate story time. I was around, like, the Twitch space between 14 to 16. And so when X and Y was coming out, I was very tuned into, like, public reception of everything. And I just vividly remember when they teased Sylveon's silhouette and everyone freaked out. Everything was, what type is it? What's it going to be? It's flying type, it's normal type, it's whatever. And when it was revealed to be a brand new typing, it was just insane. Like there is nothing like the like X and Y era of like when they were slowly like teasing Mega Evolution and stuff like that. X and Y has a special place in my heart for sure. But specifically like Sylveon, I was a little wary of it at first too. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like it looks really different from the other ones. And then when I got X and Y, I decided to catch an Eevee because you can get it decently early in the game. Picked one up, decided to try out Sylveon, evolving it into Sylveon, and that was it for me. I fell in love. It's just such an incredible Pokemon, so strong. And I love that they made the fairy type, like a very feminine type, so strong. Makes me so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Brand new, introduced as of Generation 6, as you say. Yeah, the hype around any kind of brand new thing like that, absolutely huge. Well, fantastic. Eevee, welcome to the team. And everybody, if you're enjoying this chat with Cathy, Sunnie, please do like and subscribe. It would mean a huge amount, as Cathy can attest to. Always does go such a long way. Thank you so much, Cathy. Just a couple of simple clicks would really mean a huge amount. But we've got so much more conversation to have. So, from there, now we will scamper over to having your own DS and a copy of Soul Silver.
Yeah, so like I had mentioned, growing up with two older sisters, I had shared consoles just across the board. So finally around when I was, I want to say like 10 or 11, I got my first DS. I got a DS Lite. It was red and black. And I got a copy of Soul Silver. I want to say this was like around my birthday. So Soul Silver had been out for a bit, but I finally got it. And my oldest sister also got her own DS Lite. She got a pink one, and she got Pokemon Platinum. Because for the first couple of years of life while we were still like living together, one of us would get one game within a generation. So in Gen 4, I got Soul Silver and she got Platinum, which doesn't totally line up because then I like never ended up playing the Sinnoh region, but I played it later on in life. But regardless, Soul Silver, I think, was what ended up making me, like, love Pokemon, like, beyond what it had been before. Because before it was like, oh, I love it because it's something that I have with my sisters, and it's more of, like, a family thing, and, you know, I played Pokemon Snap, I played Gen 1 over and over and over again, I've played Pokemon Blue probably 20 times, with the same, like, not even 6 Pokemon. I would walk in with Mewtwo, the 3 birds, and, like, a Raichu for fun. But Soul Silver was the first game that I fully had for myself, and I was able to just dive into it. And I put hours into that game. I'm, like, almost positive I have it maxed out just from how much I played as a kid. And I would catch Pokemon and sit on Mount Silver, and I would fight level 44 Rapidash to level 100 until I passed out. Like, I would put everything into that game. I loved it. And I end up, like, later buying a Heart Gold just so I could play through it over and over and over again. I think between, like, the double region and just having so much in it, and the Pokedex Gen 2 Pokemon have such a special place in my heart. They're so cute. Loved my starter. I picked Cyndaquil, which is not one of my Pokemon, but shout out to Cyndaquil. And the rest of my team. I've just played that game so many times, and I think that was really like a gateway to me for wanting to go into the more, like, not necessarily social space, but like content space of Pokemon, because I started to become very invested in, like, knowing everything about Pokemon, knowing my type charts, knowing all of the gym leaders, knowing everything like that, and knowing all the abilities and building cool teams and, you know, catching all of the Pokemon. So that was around when I started watching YouTube and finding Pokemon creators just doing playthroughs, or doing like challenging themselves and doing like little challenge runs or something where they'll be like, oh, I'm going to play through this, but I can only catch water type Pokemon the whole time. Something like that. And then eventually that led into me finding shiny hunting. So obviously that was a explosive, like mind blowing. I knew about Red Gyarados. Did not know that there was not just Red Gyarados. Like I thought it was just him. But when I found out it could be everything, my world, it's like at the end of at the end of Let's Go. Have you played either of the Let's Go games?
I have, yeah. I played Let's Go Eevee.
Okay. At the end of Let's Go, after you beat like the champion, when you walk out of your house, you unlock the ability to ride one like Charizard, one of the flying Pokemon, and it's like your world has expanded and you can fly through routes, like almost open world-esque type thing. And there's a kid that walks up to you and is like, sorry to interrupt you while your world is expanding. Like that is how I felt when I found out that every single Pokemon had a shiny. It was mind-boggling.
Yeah. I think, I distinctly remember the time that happened for me as well, that every single one has that alternate, very rare coloration. And, it's just testament to how deep these games run and just how much there is to do in them and the levels on which we can enjoy them, be it competitive or far more casual with Shiny Hunter. There's always something to do in these games. As someone who is a massive Generation 2 fan, I love to hear you talking in such an enthusiastic way about Soul Silver and Heart Gold, the remakes of the original Generation 2 games for the Nintendo DS. And yeah, double region because you play through the Johto region, and then that's another sort of mind-blowing moment. You beat the game and it's like, well, that's it. But no, then you have a whole new region to explore. You go back to the region from Generation 1, the Kanto region. Absolutely phenomenal. Of course, you've got the Pokemon sprites following you in the overworld as well as you're wandering around. Incredible games. Do you... I mean, maybe this is an impossible question to answer, but the reason why you were so invested in Soul Silver, do you think it was mainly because it was your first own Pokemon game, or was it also to do with, compared to all the other games you played before, Blue, Emerald, etc., it was genuinely your favorite?
I think it was a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is that it was my own game, and I knew that I could put all of this energy into it, and I wouldn't have to worry about someone coming into my room and be like, can I restart your Soul Silver? It was my own game and my own console. And of course, I was one of those kids late at night. It's a school night and I'm playing Soul Silver and I hear my mom coming and I slam the DS shut and shove it under my pillow. And I'm like, nothing, I'm sleeping. Like, I was able to have nights like that and just really make it my own and catch whatever I want and spend as much time as I want. And Voltorb Flip.
Yeah.
The best game on earth.
Right? I totally agree. I love it.
I will spend hours in Voltorb Flip. I love it. And I will stare at my screen. I will not flip a single tile. I will be in the notes section.
So
Notes mode the entire time. Like painstakingly thinking of every move. It's like almost like Sudoku.
It is. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, for an unfamiliar Voltorb Flip, for me, it's the perfect mix of logic and luck. It's sort of, you have to tap on cards in a grid and not uncover the Voltorb, essentially. And there are various clues at either end of the rows as to how many might be in that row or column. And it's wonderful. Yeah, Sudoku is a really good
It's like Minesweeper, right? I think that's kind of based off of a little bit. It's a mix of different things.
No, it's really good. Before we continue with that, it's now time to see who's going to be joining Eevee on your dream team.
Well, I think it actually kind of ties in pretty well because the next Pokemon is my first ever shiny that I found in a game. And it is Mienfoo in Pokemon White. This is kind of a silly story. So I think this was like not long after Pokemon White came out. I had beat the game. And I was still a little, unsure about it because it wasn't Soul Silver. But I was giving it a fair shot. And at this point, the 3DS had come out, but X and Y was not out yet. So I was on my 3DS, and I had Pokemon White in it, and I was home alone. I want to say I was, 12 or 13. And I'm doing my thing, how I would spend hours on Mount Silver training against level 44 Rapidash. I was on some random route training some random Umbreon to level 100 for fun, because what else do you do? And at this point, I had been consuming content from shiny hunters online for a while. I knew what shinies were. I knew what shinies looked like. And for anyone who doesn't know, for Pokemon White specifically, the shiny odds in that game are 1 in 8,192. So an extremely, extremely rare chance. And when I was watching all this shiny hunting content, I was just complacent in the fact that, like, I'm never going to find this. I'm never going to get one of these. I don't have the patience and the attention span to sit for hours putting in thousands of encounters, because there were people that would go way over odds and be like, 27,000 encounters, finally I got this shiny. I'm like, I think I would lose my marbles. I'm 12. I don't have this type of patience. But I'm training this Umbreon, and I encounter a little purple Mienfoo. And again, I'm home alone. So I start hyperventilating and freaking out, because who do I talk to about this? And immediately, I'm not recording. I am running around my house alone with this DS. I start pretending to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, oh my gosh, guys. Chat, no way. Shiny Mienfoo, full odds. I'm like shaking, breaking out. And as one does, I immediately threw a Master Ball. Because I had it, and it was my first ever shiny, and I was not failing it. There was no way. So I caught it in a Master Ball, which is funny because it has the little M on the Master Ball. So M for Mienfoo. And I was so excited, and I, like, genuinely will never forget the feeling of finding that shiny. It was just, like, insane to me. And I ended up evolving it into Mienshao eventually, and then transferring it up to X and Y, which I believe is where it still is in my Pokemon X save. So I still have it, but it says obviously that I got it in Pokemon White as the location. So it was definitely a moment for me where I was like, oh, this is what it's all about. Like, yeah. I get it now, and I understand why people are spending hours doing this just to find a different colored Pokemon. No stat benefits, no secret ability, literally nothing is different except the color. But now I get it. I totally get it.
Such a journey, and it's one that reawakens all that nostalgia that we have felt over the years for Pokemon. And it just, for me, it's the idea that they've just been always lurking there in the games, waiting to be discovered. And even though the hours we put into them when we were younger, we still never found them. It's so enticing, as you say. Also, the Master Ball being purple is quite a good fit for the shiny color of Mienfoo, and the M, as you said, for Mienfoo too. That's such a wonderful first shiny to find. So it's going to be shiny Mienfoo joining the team here. Welcome to the team, and now we will go over from there into how things changed when you went to college.
Yeah. Sorry, I have my notes so I don't forget my own life story.
Yeah.
But when I went to college, as you do, I was a computer science major with a math and French double minor. Don't ask me to speak French. I can't do it anymore. I can still read it a little bit, but speaking it, but I took a lot of courses. I was taking 6 to 7 classes every semester, which is a lot. Normally people will take 5. So the typical is like 15 credits, and I was taking 19. And this is around when the Switch came out and Sword and Shield came out. I think it was 2019 that game came out, and that was when I went to college. And I just didn't have time. I didn't have time. And I slowly started to kind of move away from Pokemon, I didn't really have time for social media. I was just completely on to like college. I was focused on college and making friends and doing my extracurriculars, and I kind of just stopped gaming. And then lockdown happened. And this was my second year of college, about halfway through. And we were just all uproot, go home. Don't come back to campus. And now I'm like, now what? Now what? And it was around that time that Animal Crossing came out. That was sort of what got me back into not just gaming, but I ended up getting back into the Twitch space as a whole. So I kind of discovered Twitch through the YouTubers and stuff in back in like 2013, 2014. And now fast forward to 2019, I had been away from Twitch for probably like 2 to 3 years at this point, and came back for Animal Crossing because I wanted to trade turnips for the stock market. So I needed to communicate with other people, and I wanted to visit other people's islands. And once I got back to school, I was on campus, but everything was remote. Everything. So I was just stuck in my room all day. There was nothing to do. No, all extracurriculars were canceled. So what was I supposed to do? And that was when I was like, what if I streamed? Like, what if I just started streaming on Twitch? I wanted to do it when I was 14. I'm 20 years old now. Where's the harm? It's not like I live under my parents' roof anymore. They can't stop me. And so I had started initially by playing just a PC game. I started with a PC game because it was easy to set up. And first few streams, not great. Not great. Didn't go super well, but I was like, you know what? I persevere, and I'm gonna keep going. And that was when my sister helped me, because I was in college. I didn't have a job yet. My sister helped pay for a capture card that you can plug into your Switch dock and then be able to project your Switch onto your computer. And so I started, getting through Sword and Shield. The DLC came out around this time. This was like late 2020. So I had Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, and I unlocked Dynamax Adventures. And that was like the big thing for me, where I started shiny hunting on stream, doing Dynamax Adventures. And for those who don't know, Dynamax Adventures are very much a multiplayer type of like mini game within one of the Pokemon games that you could do, where you battle 4 Pokemon, and the 4th Pokemon is like a very rare legendary Pokemon. And at the end of the adventure, you can select from one of those Pokemon, and one of those 4 Pokemon has a decently high chance to be shiny. So I started doing that, and that's when I just like started meeting a bunch of people and making a bunch of friends, other creators, community members, and I really like just dove headfirst into that space and started really like becoming a creator and I guess like influencer in a way.
So we jumped some time there from Soul Silver up to when Sword and Shield came out. So in the meantime, presumably, up until college gets too busy and you have to put gaming to one side, you're still playing Pokemon with just as much enthusiasm as you ever had.
Yeah, basically that entire time was X and Y came out eventually, and it was Friend Safari, Chain Fishing, Poke Radar, over and over and over again every single day. I have boxes and boxes of shinies in my X and Y. Still watching YouTube, watching Twitch, found like shiny hunting Twitch streams to listen to while I was shiny hunting myself. And then obviously as time went on and Gen 7 came out, I did the SOS hunting and all of that type of method hunting, really enjoyed those games. They were very different, but very cool. And then it was really when the Switch came out. I liked Let's Go a lot.
Now it's time for the third member of your dream team. Who's going to be joining Eevee and Shiny
Yes.
Mienfoo?
I tried to make my Pokemon tie into everything. This is the first Pokemon where it's like, okay, battling, kind of. Not just like a little baby Pokemon. It's actually the only one that's not like a little baby Pokemon. It's Suicune.
Ah.
So I loved Suicune from day one. Obviously, again, Soul Silver, Gen 2. Suicune is one of the legendaries. It's kind of special in that game compared to the other two legendary beasts. For some reason, she was extra special, which cute. But I loved Suicune. I loved her design. I thought she was always really cool. Loved her in the Celebi movie. Her like walking on water and stuff was really cool. But the other thing about Suicune is when you unlock Dynamax Adventures, there is a tutorial adventure to help you. And that adventure is always Suicune. So at the end of the adventure, you can write a note of the path, basically. So you can save up to 3 legendary Pokemon paths and just hunt that one legendary more like as long as you want. So I saved the Suicune path when I did the tutorial. And so when I started streaming, I was doing Suicune. And it took forever. This like set the tone of my shiny luck as a creator, and let me tell you right now, it is abysmal. It is horrendous. As a note, the odds for me in Dynamax Adventures, the base odds are 1 in 300. So kind of 4 in 300 to get a shiny at all. I had the shiny charm, which increases, you get it from completing your base Pokedex in Sword and Shield. You get the shiny charm, and it multiplies your odds by like 3 or something. So instead of 1 in 300 odds, I had 1 in 100 odds. So I had like a 1 in 25 chance of getting a shiny, period, which is awesome. Unless you're me and your luck is terrible. And I would do my counter by the number of Pokemon seen. So I would be counting up by 4 every single time. And there were days where my counter said 400 with no shiny for 1 in 100 odds. And I was like, this is terrible. But part of that was around the community, everybody kind of knew me as the Suicune girl. Because I just could not get it. And everyone around me would get shiny Suicune and be like, I'm so sorry, like, I got the shiny, I'll still help you with the adventures, though, because once you take a legendary home, you can't catch it multiple times. That's it. Even if you do the path again, it disappears at the end of the adventure. So if people were joining me and they already caught Suicune, which a lot of people did because it was the tutorial and people didn't know you could do it multiple times, so a lot of people caught it and couldn't even shiny hunt it anymore. So I was like doing these DAs constantly, DA being Dynamax Adventure, doing these DAs constantly. Every single stream I did, I didn't do anything else. It was only Suicune. And it took months, but I finally got it shiny. And I feel like that was truly my first, like, almost branding type thing for my streams and like as a content creator. Like I had a thing. I had a niche or like something that set me apart from other creators and kind of gave me my own name. So even though Suicune was not very nice to me, I definitely think that whole situation really helped me grow as a creator and grow my community, because people were finding me from friends being like, did she get the Suicune yet? Did she get it yet? And their community members becoming really invested, and other people finding me and getting really invested in that whole fiasco of a shiny hunt.
Wow. Do you know how many encounters total?
Of just Suicune, I don't know. I do still have the clip somewhere, and it's oh gosh, it's just horrendous to look at. I had my overlay was so bad, but I want to say my counter was at the very least over 100, counting by 4 when the Suicune did shine. So I was actively over odds.
Shiny Suicune. I'm assuming you want to add it shiny to the team right now.
Yeah, I do think the rest of my Pokemon are shiny, actually.
Okay, well, fair enough. We look forward to them. Shiny Suicune, welcome to the team. And now we will race over from there into finding your people and your space.
So, obviously, I was in college when I started streaming, and eventually I graduated. Hooray! And I actually graduated early. I graduated December 2021 because lockdown, I was supposed to study abroad. Didn't work out for me for obvious reasons, and ended up, instead of having a semester where I was only taking 6 credits, but in Rome, I stayed on campus and I still took, another 15 credit semester. And so I just remember going into my guidance counselor meeting and him being like, did you know you only have 4 classes left to graduate? And I was like, no, I actually did not know that. Thank you for this information. What do I do about that? Because you need to take at least 3 courses to be considered a full-time student. So it was either I take 2 classes and graduate on time with everybody else, but I don't get room and board. I would have to live somewhere off campus, and I didn't have a job yet. Or I take all 4 courses for 1 semester and then just be done and graduate. And also save on tuition. And I was like, well, ideally, I can do that, but then not have to live at home until, let's say August, when a lot of jobs start, hiring post-college kids. And I got very lucky. I did an internship for 2 years over the summer, and at that company, they offered me a full-time position after my second internship, and I asked them, I'm like, hey, I'm on track to graduate early. Would I be able to start in January or February? And they said, yep, absolutely. So I graduated, moved back home for a month, started, apartment searching during that final semester, and I found a place and I moved out there. I moved from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, so not too far. It's a 2-hour drive. And started working full time. And obviously I was still streaming and I had all these friends that I made and I really enjoyed it. So even though I was working full time now, I wanted to continue it. So I did. And this is when I built my PC. So originally I was streaming on a laptop on school Wi-Fi in a dorm room. And now I upgraded where I was paying for my own Wi-Fi, so I made sure to make it extra good. And I built a PC, double monitor setup, everything like that, and started streaming, and the quality of my streams just exploded. This is the start of 2022. And this was also around the time where I started, not necessarily, doing crazy, blowing up, but I definitely started to actually be known as a creator. Because I feel like before that, I was around a lot of different communities as a viewer, and a lot of the time it's always one of those things where it's oh my gosh, wait, you stream? I didn't know. But I feel like this was the year where it finally felt like people knew me not as just oh, Sunnie in chat. Oh, it's Sunnie the streamer. Well, this was when I was Sunnyside Seas, but I digress. And then eventually, at the end of 2022, there was a little butterfly effect that happened where I was supposed to go on this family vacation to Florida. And there was an absolutely horrendous hurricane that hit where we were supposed to travel. And it wiped out a ton of the restaurants down there. A lot of the like Airbnbs were damaged and they had to rebuild and our trip got canceled. And I last minute bought a plane ticket round trip from Philly to San Diego, and I purchased a TwitchCon ticket. We don't need to talk about how much all of that was. And I messaged the stream team I was on. I was like, hey, my trip got canceled. TwitchCon's a week away. I want to go. Does anyone have room in their hotel or Airbnb? I'll sleep on the floor. I don't care. And one of the girls said, hey, I'm staying alone and would love to have a buddy if you don't mind, like, sharing a bed. I think it's going to be king size. Like, you won't even know I'm there. And she is now one of my best friends on earth. So that was super great. And I met a bunch of people. And that was the first time that I had really, like, gone to any event. And for being on the internet for so long and having internet friends for years, like, I had made friends when I originally found Twitch when I was 14. And I never met them because some of them were in the UK, some of them were in Texas, and you know, I'm in New Jersey, just like all the way in the corner in the Northeast. And it was such a surreal thing for me to find all of these people and then actually be able to meet them and hang out with them. And I've traveled everywhere. I've been everywhere. The last like 3 years, but it was just such an incredible experience. And then this is also around the time, like right after TwitchCon is when I got my cat too. So I started really like settling in and being an adult and, you know, working full time, and now I'm making my own money, but I'm also streaming like 3 to 4 days a week on a PC where my bit rate is not 2,000. It is like 6,000, which is great. It means my quality is way better. And I just slowly sort of developed my setup and everything like that. And that was kind of a big, 2022 was sort of that big like developmental year for me as a creator and an influencer.
Wow. So who was that best friend that you made back then?
The best friend is Hasty on Twitch and other socials. She's wonderful. She also does a lot of Pokemon content, a lot of shiny hunting, speed running. She opens a lot of Pokemon cards too, as of late. And she's done a lot of VGC in the past as well. She's absolutely wonderful. But we barely knew each other.
Yeah.
We barely knew each other. We were literally just on the same stream team, which for those who don't know, on Twitch, you obviously can be like individual streamers, but when you become Twitch partner, you can create a stream team and invite people to the team. And it's supposed to just sort of be like a community outreach support type thing. And some people do events, they'll do charity stuff together. And so our stream team was an all women's Pokemon stream team specifically, which was a lot of fun. And I was meeting a lot of new people, and like I said, I messaged them for like a lot of them are going to TwitchCon. So it's like, does anyone have room for me? And Hasty's a little older than me, and I always thought that she was like the coolest person on earth. If you guys know her at all, her vibes are just incredible. Like, she just seems so like the coolest person ever. Like, it's just what she exudes. And so I just like thought, so she was so cool. So when she was like, do you want to stay with me? Like, I don't mind. I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, like, thank you. And it genuinely feels like one of those platonic soulmate situations. Like, I've never met someone that I've clicked with like so quickly.
Very cool. Great. And so then that first TwitchCon that you went to, I mean, give us a sense of your experience there. Was it just like your eyes were opened? Yeah,
it was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. I feel like I went in not really knowing what to expect, and obviously it was a very impulse trip. The biggest thing was like seeing just the lines for some of the meet and greets of the like really large Twitch creators, and that year in particular, me and Hasty in particular, but kind of the entire group we were traveling with, we ran into so many of the like biggest streamers on Twitch by accident. It was insane how many people we just like bumped into. And we got a bunch of pictures of them, obviously, which was awesome. So I have all those memories, but it was really cool. It was really interesting, and you know, I think just being in that environment and getting to meet everyone and everyone being so passionate about content and what they do and being social and engaging. I was always very introverted growing up. I didn't really talk about this, but I very much felt on the outside because no one really gamed when I was a kid. Like where I grew up, everyone kind of didn't have the same interests as me at all. Like I very much felt not necessarily like fully outcast. I had friends and I was in a friend group, but I still kind of felt like everyone in the friend group had their person and had interests to talk about, and I just kind of existed there. So when I went to TwitchCon and I met all of these people that I had been talking to online for, you know, a year at this point, and they just like welcomed me with open arms, and we had so much to talk about and so much in common. We could talk about content, we could talk about Pokemon, we could talk about, you know, everybody on Twitch does coding. Like everyone's a programmer or some sort of STEM job, you know? So we could talk about that. It was just like, I genuinely felt like I had found my people. And of course, they all live so far away, but at the very least, there were these big events that everyone would want to go to. And I would, you know, I have my job where I have the privilege to be able to have the money to travel and go and see those friends. So it was definitely a very like almost healing situation for me.
Wow, very inspiring time. So now it's time to learn who's going to be the next member of your dream team alongside Eevee and Shiny Mienfoo and Shiny Suicune.
Yeah. So this is not quite a huge jump. So TwitchCon was kind of end of 2022. And this Pokemon is at the start of 2023. And it is a shiny Fuecoco. So the Paldea starter. And the reason I picked this Pokemon is because Scarlet and Violet came out at the end of 2022. And loved it, had so much fun. And when that game came out, I was playing through it on stream. And, you know, I would do some shiny hunting here and there while I did my playthrough. But something happened where my viewership skyrocketed out of nowhere. And I went from 30 average viewers to 50 average viewers to 80 average viewers in 3 months. And I didn't do a thing. I literally, I wasn't posting on other socials. I was like maybe posting little like short clips of my shiny hunts here and there, but nothing major where I would almost triple my viewership in 3 months. And eventually I started this hunt to hatch a shiny Fuecoco, breeding one of them with a Ditto or something and getting it shiny. So I was doing that, and I was doing the Masuda method. And for those who don't know what that is, it's if you have one parent, or I guess two parents from two different languages, your odds increase exponentially. So it goes from like 1 in 4096 to 1 in like 687 or something. And then with the shiny charm, it goes from 1 in 1365 to 1 in 512. So it's crazy odds. It's some of the best odds that you can get in the game. in any of the games in general. And it's existed for ages. But I was doing that. And like I said, I have the shiny charm. My odds are 1 in 512. We remember Suicune. We have Suicune in the back of our minds. My luck is not great. So, we get 300 eggs in. We're going strong. We're under odds. We're chilling. We get to 512. It's okay. We can go over odds. Not a big deal. We get to like 750 eggs. Okay. This kind of stinks. We get to 1,000 eggs. Oh. Well, this is starting to this really stinks, actually. Then we get to 1,500 eggs. I'm like, okay. Am I doing something wrong? Something is wrong. And this continues until 2,288 eggs when I finally get a shiny Fuecoco. And the day that I got it is so, like, almost symbolic, because the day before, I wasn't streaming that night. And like I said, my viewership had skyrocketed out of nowhere, and I unlocked the partner application for Twitch. So for those who don't know, on Twitch, there are kind of tiers to what kind of streamer you could be, like what level streamer you are. So there's just when you start out, there's affiliate, which you need like 3 average viewers, you need to stream for 7 days, and then there's like one other one that I can't remember, but that's when you can start monetizing your Twitch. You can activate subscriptions, upload emotes, all of that. And then there's Twitch Partner, and that's kind of the big end goal for a lot of people, where you need 75 average viewers concurrently over the last month, and then obviously some other like streaming stats as far as like you need to stream this many days within a certain period, etc. But the 75 average is the big goal. And I had hit 80 average concurrent viewers when the month prior I was at like 50. And the month before that I was at like 30. So it was out of nowhere, truly. And I was so just shocked and in awe. And I was going to wait to apply, but I decided not to. And I applied right away. And I did not get it, obviously. I had applied and I was all ready to like make this announcement to my community. And then like 30 minutes before stream, less than like 24 hours after I applied, was when I got the rejection email. That stinks. Because I was so excited to tell my community that I, at the very least, applied. But then I made the announcement, I applied, and got rejected. Right away. And then I'm going into this stream, and I'm over 2,000 eggs into Fuecoco, and I'm making jokes like, I guess Fuecoco won't shine until I get partner. Like, it's just waiting, it's waiting, it's waiting. And then, like, several hours into the stream, it was towards the end of the stream, was when I finally got it. And it was just, like, one of the most electric feelings ever. And it was also one of those things where, like, I was obviously a little upset about not getting partner when I applied the first time, which, like, looking back, I'm like, yeah, obviously. That's ridiculous. Being able to just kind of, like, persevere and keep going, and then getting this shiny that I wanted for so long, I was like, you know what? I just gotta keep chugging. I gotta keep going. So, Fuecoco, specifically shiny Fuecoco, means a lot to me.
Representing your perseverance and determination. Well,
yeah.
Fuecoco. Shiny Fuecoco, welcome to the team. We're going to continue our torch song over from there to then eventually, partnering with Twitch,
yes.
And then also with Pokemon.
Yes. Yeah, so that was the start of 2023, was when I got Fuecoco. It was in January, the end of January. And after that, I was determined to get Twitch Partner. And there was a lot going on that year, because I was moving out of my first apartment to the apartment I'm in now. Part of the reason being I lived on the 7th floor and got roaches in my apartment. So I did not want to live there anymore. So that wasn't great. But I had a lot happening. I was still traveling a lot. It was very stressful, but I still wanted to try and stream as much as I could and, you know, get my numbers up because, you know, sometimes they'll drop a little bit, especially when the weather starts to get nicer, but then they'll go back up like post finals season for people that are in school. So I was like really, really working hard. And then May hits, and May is a couple things. May 4th was my birthday. And then May, I want to say like 11th or 13th is when I was moving. That was my moving day. So I'm like freaking out. My apartment is like half empty, and I feel like I can't really do anything for my birthday because my apartment is half empty because I'm moving out in like a week. And I am just kind of watching my analytics, and as we are like around my birthday, I am at like 90 concurrent average viewers or something. And the last several months had also been pretty decent. And I was like, okay, I think I need to reapply and just like do it. So May 9th, I remember, is when I got Twitch partner, and I streamed once after getting partner before disappearing for like a week to move out of my apartment. So that was kind of a crazy moment for me, but after that I was just cruising. I ended up being on the front page for a few months by accident because I got partner in May, and then in June another creator hosts a shiny hunting event called Pokemon Pride, where we raise money for a charity for LGBTQ plus youth in the South. And so she had someone that she knew at Twitch, and she was able to talk to them and get them to put the list of Twitch partners in the event on the front page that month, which was really cool. So that was my first time on the front page, obviously, because I was a brand new partner. I'd been partner for less than a month at this point. And I was doing a bunch of shiny hunting and, you know, was really able to kind of grow from there. And then they just didn't take me off the front page when July hit. And I stayed on the front page until like October. So that was really cool. But also like great outreach, but also very stressful because I didn't know how I was genuinely going to be doing when I was off the front page. Like I didn't know my true viewership. But, you know, we start to get into 2024 and things are going well and I'm shiny hunting, and I have a friend reach out to me, and he plays Pokemon Go, and he has, you know, worked with some of the influencer managers before at Pokemon. And he's like, hey, the influencer manager was asking some of us, you know, if we have any friends that are going to any of like the VGC events this year. And I remember you and some of your friends saying that you're going to Orlando regionals and also NAIC. So I was like, yes, but I'm competing in Orlando, but I plan on just attending NAIC as a spectator. And this was the first year that NAIC was in New Orleans. So it was in Ohio the year before, and I had attended just like for fun, but obviously bought my own ticket. And then fast forward the following year, it's in New Orleans. But he gives me the contact info for the influencer manager, and I reach out. So Orlando, I go, and like you had mentioned, with the whole me being on the Pokemon stream, that's when that happened. So that was my first regional where I was competing. I competed with a Pokemon that I did not write down, but Torkoal, my son. I named him Lentil. Don't know why, it just felt right. But I did a Torkoal, a Sun team because Sunnie, the branding. And I had a lot of fun. Didn't do great, but didn't do terribly. I won some matches, and I did pretty decent. But that's when another caster, Joe Brown, messaged me on Twitter and was like, hey, we'd love to have you on the stream, like talk about your experience with VGC, especially since you're normally a shiny hunter and you're new to this. And I was like, okay, yeah, that would be really cool. And they actually aired the interview during like some sort of top cut. I think it was like top 4. So a lot of people were watching. I was like, oh my gosh, I low key like blacked out that whole time when I was getting interviewed. I don't remember a thing. I have no idea what I said. Not a single thing. It's one of those things where you look back and you're like, I should have said this. I don't even know what I said. So I am in the airport, ready to fly home, and I'm watching the stream just to like see like when is it gonna come up? And my interview comes up, and immediately my first thing, I turned on the volume. Like, I don't want to hear myself speak. And I'm just like watching the chat. I'm like, oh my God, do they like me? Like, I hope they like me. And everyone was so nice. They were so kind to me. And they were like, oh my gosh, like bring her back. We want her more on stream. I was like, oh my gosh, yay. But I was genuinely so nervous, but that was such like a surreal moment for me. And I took a screenshot and I sent it to my family. And before even I got to send it to my family, my older sister texted a picture to my family. It was like, Cathy's on the official Pokemon stream to thousands of viewers. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. But I'm like getting DMs from all my friends like, you're on the Pokemon stream. I was like, I know, I know. But it was just such a crazy moment for me. And then obviously, fast forward, NEIC, I do end up reaching back out to the influencer manager. I got my creator pass, and after that, I just kind of kept putting myself out there and was like, hey, I'm not going to Worlds this year. It was in Hawaii, so it was super far for me to fly there. But I was like, I know people co-streamed for NEIC, which is basically just, there would be content creators who during the VGC event would be streaming it and reacting to the matches and talking about it and stuff like that. I was like, I would love to co-stream Worlds if that's something you guys are going to do this year. I ended up co-streaming Worlds that year, and it was one of the most insane opportunities of my life. I am like forever grateful for that opportunity. I gained quite literally 3,000 followers in one weekend, which was insane. And I still have people, you know, in my community, like regulars now, who found me through the Worlds co-streams. Because it's one thing to be on the front page of Twitch to everybody, and it's another thing to be endorsed by the game that you always play and have people show up that are interested in that game. It's like very much more targeted. Since then, I've gotten just a ton of opportunities with the Pokemon Company, but it's been super cool working with them and going to a couple different events now, especially like regionals and EUIC as well, the European Championships I attended as a creator as well.
You reached out and you made it happen. That's,
Yep.
yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from that. Well, that was fascinating. Thank you very much, Cathy. And now it's time to learn what's going to be the 5th Pokemon joining your team alongside
Yes.
Eevee, Shiny Mienfoo, Shiny Suicune, and Shiny Fuecoco.
Yes, it is Shiny Tepig, but it's teensy. It's small, specifically. This is a big hunt for me. Basically around like that time with Worlds and everything and growing my platform, I started doing more YouTube content. And one of the biggest things was trying to figure out these larger like shiny quests that I could do, where instead of just finding one shiny Pokemon, I was finding a ton under some sort of thing. So I found, you know, a bunch of shiny Pokemon that were yellow and a bunch of shiny Pokemon that were pink and purple. And then they released the Blueberry Academy DLC, and you were able to encounter in the wild every single starter except for the Paldea starters. And I love Tepig, personally, which is, I fear, a hot take. People don't love Tepig as much as I do, which is a crime in my opinion. I love Tepig, but I decided that I wanted to go for one with the teensy mark, the mini mark, if you will, which for those who don't know, for like what marks are, basically your Pokemon just gets a title. It's just like an extra little added rare thing for a Pokemon where when you send it out into battle, it'll say like, oh, Tepig the Teeny. Something like that. So it's really cool. It's really fun. A lot of people do it, and it's rare. So it just adds an extra layer of rarity to the shiny. And in typical fashion for me, it didn't go well. It took forever. It took forever. But I got my TT Tepig, and I kind of branded it as like a teacup Tepig, because there's the teacup pigs that are really small. But ended up being really cute, and a lot of people, again, started knowing me for it, knowing me as the teensy Tepig person, and were really invested in the hunt, and it was just like a very exciting time for me. And now, fast forward, Legend ZA is coming out, and Tepig was revealed as one of the starters. And I can't tell you how many DMs I got of people being like, you must be so happy right now. People were like, oh my god, she's probably freaking out. And I even have my little Tepig right here. Hey. My Poke doll. I always have him on me because, especially recently, people are like, oh, what starter are you picking for Legend ZA? And I'm like, take a guess. I dare you to take a guess. So, he's just a Pokemon that, especially more recently, has been very important to me and very, just like one of my favorites. He's like in my top 3 now, out of nowhere. My favorite starter used to be Cyndaquil, because obviously my history was Soul Silver, but now Tepig has triumphed. He's taken the lead.
Teeny, tiny, shiny Tepig joining the Dream Team. Wonderful. Well, before we round out this Dream Team, Cathy, we're going to hop over from there onto, well, where you're at now, the present day.
Yeah, so obviously I've kind of gone through the last, like, my entire life, and last story ended around, 2024, and now we're in 2025, and things have obviously been going really well for me. Like, I just was sent Destined Rivals by Pokemon, and that was really cool, and I got to open a bunch of stuff. And now, last year, I had co-streamed Worlds because it was in Hawaii, which is a very long trip for someone living in Pennsylvania. And this year, Worlds is in Anaheim. So I guess Hawaii is technically in the US, but this is, while still across the country, not a 12-hour flight. It is a 5.5-hour flight. So I'm excited to be attending Worlds this year as a Pokemon creator, which is just such an insane opportunity. So I've been working out all of that travel and kind of prepping for that. And I'm very excited to see where I can go from here. I feel like I have so much planned and so much passion now for streaming and just the Pokemon franchise as a whole, just with how much I don't want to say how much I've gone through, because that sounds negative necessarily, but just all of the things I've had the privilege and pleasure of experiencing as a streamer, as a Pokemon creator, and even the love that I've received from the Pokemon Company itself has just been so surreal and an absolute dream, because you grow up loving something as a kid, and it's always you always have that dream of imagine if this noticed me or something. Imagine if I was sponsored by, this makeup brand or something, and they sent me a bunch of free product and stuff like that. Everyone dreams of that as a kid. At least I did. So now being grown up and having that with Pokemon, one of my favorite franchises in the whole world, it's been just crazy. I'll still get imposter syndrome every so often of what did I do? Because I just sit in my room and I talk for hours and not get shinies. That's it. I talk and I don't get shinies. So what is going on? But it's been really, really cool. And obviously I've made a lot of friends, had a lot of amazing experiences, traveled all over, had a great time. So it's been really, really cool.
Very exciting times indeed. And yeah, it'll feel really special to step up from co-streaming Worlds into being there in person. But, I say that, but as you said, co-streaming Worlds was such a wonderful opportunity for you as well. And saw your following skyrocket. Well, incredibly exciting. And now it's time, Cathy, to learn what is going to be this final Pokemon on your Dream Team. Who's going to be Pokemon number 6?
Yeah. This is going to come as a surprise to literally no one who knows me. And they've probably been waiting for this one the entire time. My last Pokemon is Cherubi.
Yep,
Shiny
this is what
Cherubi.
I was expecting to come out at some point.
Yeah. I wanted to save her for last.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know my lore with Cherubi, I started shiny hunting Cherubi not long after Pokemon Legends came out. So I was doing a charity for Arbor Week. We were raising money to save the trees. And the theme of the charity was to shiny hunt Pokemon that had to do with trees. So, they're in different games. There are shaking trees. In like Gen 4 and Sword and Shield, they have them. And in Pokemon Legends, they have shaking trees where you can find specific Pokemon like Burmy, Munchlax, Heracross, and Cherubi. And I love Cherubi. I think she's so cute. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really have access to stream the old games, so I'll do Pokemon Legends and I'll shiny hunt Cherubi. That doesn't sound too hard. I was wrong. I ended up continuing that hunt on and off. That was sort of my, like, when I finished a big quest, whatever I came up with, and I didn't know what else to do, I shiny hunted Cherubi. And I would do that until I figured out what I actually wanted to do. Or if it was like, I'm streaming 4 times a week and I've done this quest, 3 days in a row and I have one more stream, like, I really don't want to do this right now, I shiny hunt Cherubi. So this happened for like almost exactly 2.5 years. And I believe it was like April 2022. And then I got it at like the end of 2024 or something. Something like that. Those dates are somewhere. And like I said, I'd been doing this for years. And it was very much one of those like back burner hunts, back of my mind, where everyone kind of knew I still needed it. But since it wasn't an active hunt, it was never like a big thing. But whenever I did start doing it for like multiple days in a row, people would be like, how have you like not gotten this yet? Like, if you have genuinely been doing this for 2 years, how did you not get this? I'm like, I don't know. And I am trying. doing my best. But for context, I was in the first area of Pokemon Legends, the Obsidian Fieldlands, and there are 2 trees, that have Cherubi in them. And they are all the way on like the bottom of the map. And so I would fly and go over like all of this land and water and then see if the trees were shaking. And if they're not, I would leave the area and I would come back and I would do that over and over and over and over again. And I got a lot of shinies in the meantime. A lot of shinies that weren't Cherubi, but a lot of shinies. September 25th, I remember the date. Very important day for me. I am streaming and I'm like 3 hours in a stream, probably going to end soon. And I was excited because I got a shiny Combi from a tree like not long before, like 30 minutes prior. And I have a shaking tree that has a Cherubi in it. And I go ahead and I throw my Pokemon at it to headbutt the tree. And a shiny Cherubi pops out. And I shriek, first and foremost. Then I check the clock and see that it's 10:30, which means it's quiet hours in my apartment complex. So I cover my mouth and try not to hyperventilate. Because I'm just like my heart is pounding out of my chest. It is genuinely indescribable. It was insane, the feeling of seeing it, because when, obviously, like, Fuecoco was super excited, almost 2,300 eggs, and Suicune also took like a month, and it was this like crazy hunt, and Tepig also took like a month and a half, and it was taking forever to be teensy. This had been almost 3 years of me just casually looking for this Pokemon every so often, and just assuming I'd never get it. And I would just forever have this hunt to go back to when I needed to. And there, like, the shiny was just there sitting in front of me. And obviously my community is freaking out. I caught it. I named it Chubby. Because that's what I was calling it as a nickname. But I just, like, was beside myself. And obviously I looked at the clip and it was just insane. So I threw it on Twitter and was like, Cherubi girl finally got her Cherubi after like 3 years. That was what I captioned it. And I go to sleep that night all happy, like, yay, Cherubi. And I wake up and it's going viral. I'm like, listen, I'm excited, but what are we talking about? Because shiny reactions don't go viral on socials. It just doesn't really happen anymore. So I'm freaking out, and it ends up getting like 2 million views and like almost 70,000 likes or something. And it was just like the most surreal thing ever, where now I'll be live somewhere, whether it's Twitch or TikTok, and someone new will come in and be like, are you the girl that hunted Cherubi for 3 years? And I'm like, yeah, that's guilty. That's me. It even got an article written about it. The whole reaction. They quoted me, and they were like quoting my replies to people on different socials where I posted the clip. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I actually blew up. Like, I went viral. And finally, I think it was at either the start of 2025 or like very end of 2024, there's this big event that's thrown by a very large streamer on Twitch called the Streamer Awards. And this features a bunch of just the biggest Twitch streamers ever. They give out a bunch of awards. It's like the Grammys for Twitch. It's incredible. And during the awards show, they do a yearly recap. Everything exciting happened on Twitch in 2024. And they go month by month. And then we get to September, and I'm shiny hunting on the side. I have my OBS with my capture card, and I'm shiny hunting. I'm like working on a hunt off stream because it was taking me a long time. Classic. And I have the Streamer Awards over here for entertainment. And then I'm looking over here, and I hear my own scream. And I look over, there's 50,000 people like watching this stream. And I look over and I see my clip of me getting shiny Cherubi on this award show. And I was like, I like threw my controller and was like, oh, what just happened? And immediately I have like 15 Twitter DMs. I've got Discord DMs. I have, my group chats on Discord of people being like, you were just on the Streamer Awards. Did you see? People clipping it and then sending me their own clips. But thankfully I was watching. I was able to clip it. But I posted that on socials and was like, what just happened to me? Like, what is going on? So all of that really is to say regarding Cherubi is that, like, my shiny luck may be absolutely garbage, but it's been worth it. And yeah. I feel like Cherubi in particular, I've been Suicune girl in passing, I've been Tepid girl in passing, I've been Fuecoco girl in passing, but I think at the root, through all of it, I think being like Cherubi girl and having that like branding has just been so fun and silly. I always have this near me. I have my Cherubi, my sitting cutie near me. But it's just been such a crazy thing for me being recognized by like random people, because everyone, when you stream and like want to be famous, like one of the biggest things you want is to be recognized by people who don't know you. Definitely a peak in my Twitch career and just like Pokemon creator career.
And as you say, every cloud has a silver lining. Long hunts, but ones that, especially in the case of Cherubi, really established you. And so, this means, Sunnie, Cathy, your dream team is Eevee, Shiny Mienfoo, Shiny Suicune, Shiny Fuecoco, Shiny Tepig, and now Shiny Cherubi. Really interesting because they're all mono types. I'm not sure I've had a guest. I certainly haven't had very many guests who have gone with all monotypes on their team. But yeah, you've got normal, you've got 2 fire, you've got water and grass. You've got a nice water, fire, grass call there. The whole rock, paper, scissors trio. And then fighting as well.
You know, and that wasn't on purpose. That was totally a coincidence too. I didn't realize.
No, I love that. And a really
like
interesting...
I gotta stop hunting single types. I gotta start hunting dual types. Maybe they'll be nicer to me.
Maybe that's the key all along. As you say, a lot of little guys on there, but then we have Suicune as well. Fascinating stories behind each of them. And now I have to ask you, which of these are you going to choose to be your partner Pokemon?
Yeah, I think, you know, despite everything, obviously, branded Cherubi girl, all of that, I think my Pokemon partner at the end of the day is still Eevee. Always. Yeah. I mean, I own one, basically. My cat. And her name is Eevee. And honestly, whenever they post Pokemon, whenever they post those little, like, TikToks of an Eevee, like, being goofy and silly, I'm like, that's my cat. That's literally just my cat. There's the one sleep pose where Eevee's, like, sprawled and it's, like, legs are open. It's all sprawled out. My cat does that. She's been doing that since she was a kitten. She sleeps like that constantly. She always does it. She goes onto her back and she just all the way open like that. And so when I saw the sleep pose of Eevee like that, I was like, did they look at a picture of my cat and do this on purpose? Like, they did that for me. But yeah, I think, like I said, especially like where I kind of grew up really introverted and shy and very outcast, and then kind of grew into my own and evolved per se into my environment, and I've adapted to all these different things, and I've traveled so much and really like found myself. I feel like that's always sort of the big message of Eevee as a Pokemon and its evolutions and how that works, where Eevee can be whatever you want it to be, and it has that sort of choice, and it embraces change and embraces itself and everything that it has the opportunity to be. So
comes all the way back around to that theme that you mentioned at the start. Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I'm really pleased that it's Eevee that's going to be your partner Pokemon. It seems fitting. Just the Pokemon that kicked it all off, so to speak.
Yeah.
And also how that is the Generation 1 Pokemon. Your generation span right from back then to the present day, generations 1 to 9 as of the time of recording. Yeah. And so it seems like Eevee is the perfect choice. Well, Eevee, you are Cathy's partner Pokemon, riding alongside her on her shoulder. And now a different kind of question for you, Cathy. If you were a Pokemon, what do you think you'd be?
So it's actually none of the ones that I listed. I say this all the time, but I firmly believe that I am more Pico. Electric rodent. I consider myself a bit rodent-like. I'm very, very short. I actually owned hamsters growing up, too. So more Pico, like, being based off a hamster, kind of fitting. But I just think he's so silly and, like, a little bit icky and kind of gross. And the hangry mode, obviously, is very relatable. I'm sure it is to many. But I don't know. I think he's just really silly, and I love all the little, like, electric rodents.
Well, what do you all think? Do you agree that of all the Pokemon there are more than 1,000 at this point, Sunnie would be a Morpeko? We'd be fascinated to read, so let us know in the comments. And speaking of you all, it's now time for your community questions. I posted online, as I always do, asking for questions from the community for Sunnie. Thank you so much for submitting them. Apologies I won't be able to feature all of them, and also I apologise if I mispronounce any of your names or handles, but to kick things off here, Blue X Geminis would like to know, if you could choose one mythical Pokemon to be your partner, which would you pick and why?
Manaphy. Manaphy is my favorite mythical. I just love her. So the biggest thing, I grew up, Mew was my favorite. Obviously with the Pokemon Snap and the movies that Mew was in, the Lucario movie and obviously the original movie too. Loved Mew. And then 2 years ago, I rewatched all of the movies. And the Manaphy movie, I sobbed. I sobbed my eyes out. I don't know what it was, but like, just, I think it was like the whole relationship that Manaphy had with May, where May was kind of like its mother, and then she had to let it go at the end of the movie. I was like, what if that was my cat and she was the prince of the ocean and I had to let her go? I don't know. But I just fell in love with Manaphy after that. And also, if you guys haven't seen the movie, Manaphy, like, picks up human language in the movie, but, like, a little broken, obviously. And it just goes, happy, love you, happy. And just, like, repeating that over and over again. And it is the cutest thing in the whole wide world. And I just love it so much. And recently for another creator, he did, like, a dressing up as a Pokemon type video, and I was in it, and I ended up choosing Manaphy. So I dressed up as that, and I just think it's so cool.
And yeah, True Green 7, of course, the creator
Yes.
that you mentioned there. And that's also someone I featured on the podcast. And cards for that episode and others that I think you will enjoy will be appearing on screen towards the end of the episode. Well, great answer. Manaphy. There we go. And now, I'm not sure how, is Sea-Yaks Gaming or Kayaks Gaming would like to know.
That's my sister, Christina.
Oh, hey, amazing. Well, hello to you, Cathy's sister. Thanks so much for being here. As an EV enthusiast, thoughts on the age-old debate as to whether we will ever get another EV evolution and whether we should?
I did see this question, and I feel like this one is so hard to answer. There's EV, and then I believe it is an even 8 evolutions. I know there's always been the theory that all of the EV evolutions are the special type attackers from before the physical special split. So,
interesting.
Yeah, for people who don't know, in Pokemon, there are 2 types of offensive moves, physical and special. And before it was given to the individual moves, the physical and special was actually given to just the types. So every single type of EV evolution so far, I guess minus Sylveon, has been special before the physical special split, moving to just the moves instead of the types. And then Sylveon, obviously, was a brand new typing in X and Y, but looking at Fairy type, it is primarily special moves, so you can kind of guess. The only type that we do not have as an evolution that was special before the split is Dragon. And Dragon is obviously, in the Pokemon world, kind of a sacred typing. It was like very exclusive. I just feel like it might not ever happen for Eevee. I feel like right now, Eevee having an even amount of evolutions feels rounded out in a way. So as much as I would love, I don't have confidence that it'll happen.
Wow.
It kind of feels closed to me.
I mean, my take would be just never say never. Very interesting. And thank you very much for that question from your sister.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And now, question from SP Crash. Do you have a favourite drawing that you've made?
Oh, that is such a hard question. Probably. Okay. I have to think a little bit. I guess, for context, I, on Twitch, drew all of my own emotes. So I used to do, like, commissions and stuff, and I would draw people Twitch emotes, mostly Pokemon drawings. So I've done a very extensive amount of Pokemon art at this point. Honestly, I think my favorite would probably be the drawn thumbnail that I made when I turned the whole Cherubi journey into a YouTube video. I ended up drawing that thumbnail myself, and I'm still really proud of that art, and I put a lot into it, and I was still kind of like learning thumbnail art. I'm still learning thumbnail art. But that was like the first time I really was like throwing myself into it. And I just really love how it turned out. I was really, really, really happy with that one. And a couple of my emotes too. I love them and I'm really proud of a lot of them. But I think particularly that thumbnail is like stands out to me.
And of course, yeah, the journey that you've had with Cherubi, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Fantastic question, fantastic answer. Thank you for all of your questions there. If you'd like to submit a question for a future guest on Chazingdra Chat, then you can find my socials at Chazingdra on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. I post them as a YouTube community post as well. I would love to hear what you would love to hear. All right then, so Cathy, you've given us a sense of you in the present day right now, and of sort of vaguely what you have in mind for the future, but what is next for you generally, or do you have sort of specific things that you want to try next?
Yeah. Obviously going to Worlds, this is going to be my first Worlds, so that's kind of the big thing is going to Worlds, experiencing that, and maybe meeting new people, making new friends, making new connections. I definitely think as far as content, I've been really gearing up on the TikTok grind, which has been super fun. So I've been making a lot of content there and then obviously cross-posting it to Instagram. And long form content is really my biggest next step. I've done it before. I was really consistent in like 2023, and then 2024 I was kind of all over the place, partially because my hunts weren't going well. But I think I just need a better game plan as far as like, having multiple quests going at a time, where I'm not just relying on one thing to finish super quickly as a YouTube video. Like everything I do can be content. So I feel like, especially with how much I travel and being surrounded by content creators and stuff like that, I'm always kind of given this push and this drive to create content. So I'm really hoping that I can extend my platform and build it. And obviously, we're still doing the Pokemon Pride stuff that I had mentioned earlier. That's happening in June. So at the time of posting this, it's like the end of May. So that's going to be like literally a week away, which will be really cool. So we'll be doing some charity stuff all month and doing Pride-related hunts. So like colors of Pride flags and stuff like that. It'll be really, really cool. So plan on continuing to do that as long as I can, as long as I'm streaming. So that'll be really cool.
Wonderful. Yeah, exciting times ahead, and we'll see where things go afterwards as well for you, Catherine. We can't wait. And final question for you. Looking back from now as a successful creator, streamer, all the way back to the young Cathy who would share those Pokemon games with her sisters and then had their day, year, month, maybe life made when they were given their own copy of Pokemon Soul Silver and a DS, what advice would you give to that younger you?
Yeah, I thought about this. I wrote some stuff down, but I think my biggest thing, like the one thing I would go back and tell myself, and this isn't necessarily like, I wouldn't change my life path for the world. Like, I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm really proud of, like, how much I've grown. But I think the biggest thing is wanting to tell myself to just, like, stop caring what people think, because when you mask yourself and hide your personality and hide the genuine interests that you have, you're not going to be surrounded by the people you want to be surrounded by, and that's going to end up hurting you in the future. You're not going to end up being happy because everything around you is going to just feel really wrong and kind of fake. Because, truthfully, like, not being yourself, you're being fake. You're being a fake version of yourself. And I feel like I definitely tried to fit a mold for a long time. And it was either I was trying to fit a mold or I wasn't trying to fit the mold, but I isolated myself on purpose. And because I just assumed I wouldn't find anyone who wanted to be around me because I was different. It's too different. And I think now as an adult, being surrounded by people who have interests and are like-minded to myself, I am so authentically myself all the time. Like I get told by people a lot where, they'll see me on streams and then they'll meet me in person and kind of recall it later back on stream and be like, she's exactly the same as she is on stream as she is in person. Like she is not different at all. And I love that. That makes me so happy that, when people are there in my streams, when people are part of my community, like what you see is what you get. And if they don't like it, like that's fine. You don't have to like me. That's another thing, is not everyone needs to like you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. Not everyone is going to like you. If everyone likes you, something is like probably wrong, to be honest. But just like be unapologetically yourself and be authentic, and those people will find you, and you will be surrounded by people who will support you and uplift you and make you the best version of yourself.
Really wise words, and it's a theme that comes out time and time again on this podcast. The sooner we embrace everything, every little aspect of who we are, the faster we thrive. And that's certainly what you're doing right now, Cathy. So thank you so much. And the chat does not end there, because now we'll be getting into Cathy's Rapidash round, 15 or so minutes of bonus quickfire questions that Cathy has not prepared for. I want to know things like, what are the origins of the Sunnie persona online? Where did that name come from? I want to know some of the proudest shinies that Cathy has, beyond the ones that we've heard about in this episode. Some favourite streams that Cathy's ever done as well, again, beyond the ones that we've heard here. And generally getting into things that we just weren't able to explore in the episode. If that sounds of interest to you, then you can become a YouTube channel member for access to the Rapidash rounds or various other perks as well, or you can buy the products individually on my Patreon. Fundamentally, I really appreciate the fact that you've watched this episode in its entirety or listened to it. But if you want to get to know Cathy a little bit better and hang out with us for a little bit longer, then that option is there for you. The link is in the description below. And now, Cathy, thank you so much for joining me on the show. It's been wonderful to have a lot of a deeper dive into everything to do with you. And thank you so much for sharing things that I'm sure that many people in your community weren't so aware of. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's been wonderful having a yap session. And if people want to keep up with you online, where can they find you?
Yeah, so obviously primary platform is Twitch. I just go by Sunnie, but with an IE, so Sunnie. And then I'm also pretty active on Twitter or X, Instagram, and TikTok, all under SunnieTTV. And same with YouTube. YouTube is also SunnieTTV, and I will be making more long-form content on YouTube, so holding myself to it by listing that out as one of my socials. Keep
your eyes peeled and catch up with Sunnie's fantastic content and keep up to date with her news. And now, time to YouTube spiel from this side of things. Once more, if you enjoyed, everybody, would mean a huge amount if you could like and subscribe. Again, I put a lot of hard work into each of these episodes, and doing it for more than a year at this point. We're approaching 60 episodes right now, so there's plenty more to catch up on. You can use the hashtag 6 Pokemon 1 Life Story to spread the word about the show, and a broad range of guests as well. Beyond shiny hunters, also competitive guests, and plenty more content on the channel too. I do silly Pokemon flavoured comedy skits. I do vlogs of the events that I cast as a caster. I'm working on a big EUIC video right now. I stream as well, competitive, casually, including shiny hunting, as well as Nuzlockes and challenge runs, the works. And as I said, I'm at Chazingdra, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, as well, of course, on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, please do leave a rating and review. Those really do go a long way as well. All right then, Sunnie, so with that spiel out the way, it's now time to get into your Rapidash round. So if not joining us over on Patreon for that, then it's goodbye from Sunnie.
Bye.
As goodbye from me. See you next time on Chazingdra Chats, where there'll be another 6 Pokemon 1 Life Story. All right then, Cathy, how are you feeling about these bonus questions?
I'm excited. If they're like the ones that you have, I have answers. I'm ready.
Okay, great. Well, we will start with the ones that I tease at the end. So, yeah, tell us about the origins of your online name, Sunnie.
Okay, well, if you can't tell by my backdrop, this is my bedroom, like my actual bedroom that I sleep in. So this is not just like aesthetic for the stream. Like, this is just what I enjoyed. This is my personal enjoyment. I've always loved